Where is the skilled swordsman who can give clean wounds and not rip up his work with the other edge? Henry David Thoreau. Kagurabachi is a work of wonder, the vanguard to usher in a new era in style. In my video about the current run of Shonen Jump titles, I spoke briefly about the series and what it has to offer. But in truth, I didn't do it justice. Kagurabachi is far greater than the runtime I allotted back then, and I'm here to set the record straight. It's the next level of shonen manga that elevates through its unique presentation style, cohesive fast-paced narrative, and fight scenes that feel straight out of a noir action film. Takeru Hokazono is a true young prodigy that excels in this current era of shonen fans because of his ability to weave in amazing storytelling with all the aura and hype moments that has become popular in this day and age. KB's true message may still be shrouded in mystery, but the subtext has a lot going for it and may hold the key to answering some of the narrative's most haunting questions. Today, we're going to talk about everything Kagurabachi, what it is, why it works, what it could be someday, and what is lurking just around the corner. Let's lay the groundwork, because there's a lot to cover with this series in terms of its inception and where we've come considering its current chapters. Actually, this might be too much for me to cover, so I'm gonna go reread the series real quick to freshen up, and I'll have someone else do the talking. Ronin, that's your cue. Get in here.
Huh? Sorry, I was glancing over my Kagura Bible. What's up?
The pitch, remember? You're gonna tell them why they should read Kagurabachi?
Oh yeah, right. I can do that.
Thanks. Lights, please.
Takeru Hokazono's Kagurabachi is a story about revenge and retrieval, at least on its face. This story follows our protagonist, Chihiro Rokuhira, son of the greatest sword maker on the planet, and a young man scarred by the impact of his father's legendary blades. After the 6 enchanted blades that his father crafted were taken, as well as his own life, Chihiro struck out on a journey with 2 very simple directives: cut down the slime who shouldn't wield katana, and retrieve the life work of his father. And while I wouldn't say Kagurabachi's first chapter alone allowed me to understand how great it would eventually become, Hokazono has proven himself quite capable of allowing this story to blossom well beyond that, which makes selling anyone on Kagurabachi really, really easy. You like unique art styles that evolve as the story does? Kagurabachi's got you. You want some of the most entertaining and tense action you can find in manga right now? Kagurabachi's got you. And if you're looking for a cast of characters, villains specifically, that are pound for pound contending with all-time greats with other 100 chapters published, once again, Kagurabachi's got you. A huge reason I think Kagurabachi is so entertaining top to bottom is because Hokazono is extremely skilled at layering reasons for you to enjoy the story, both on a weekly basis and on a binge. The top of the funnel is really basic stuff, aspects of storytelling that people like to say they don't value that much, but in all honesty appreciate enough to get them through the door. That's the aura, the good art, the visually stimulating fights, etc., etc. He doesn't just do the bare minimum here either. When it comes to pure spectacle, Hokazono goes all out. After you're caught in his web, the second stage of the genjutsu happens, and this is where the quality characters come into play. The Chihiros, the Sojos, the Hakuris of the world, and by introducing these characters in relatively quick succession and delivering on interesting dynamics for all of them, Hokazono all but guarantees your investment in the grander machinations of the protagonist and antagonist. This can take the form of badass rivalries and clashes of ideals as seen in Chihiro and Sojo's dynamic, or it can be more heartfelt and emotionally resonant, as can be found with Char and Hakuri's relationship with our main character. The third and final stage of this spiderweb of peak is deployed once he knows you're in his clutches. This is the themes and such section. You can just consider this where a majority of the narrative and thematic intrigue comes from. Beyond just how these characters interact, what exactly it is that they stand for is seamlessly injected into the chapters while everything else is happening around it. Every mangaka worth their salt tries to deliver on an enjoyment funnel like this, but few are able to accomplish it with such ease and efficiency as Takeru Hokazono displays. Chapter 17 actually encapsulates the idea I'm trying to convey perfectly. As the climactic climactic confrontation between Chihiro and Sojo, we're excited, not only to see the follow-up to their previous fight, but also because we know that both of these Enchanted Blade users have been awakened and injured, leading to quite a dramatic but short fight. In typical Kagurabachi fashion, the fight is visually stunning, this time interspersed with a dialogue between the two opponents, one that isn't occurring in real life, but representative of their opposing ideologies and viewpoints. As the chapter progresses, we keep flipping back and forth between talking and fighting, the action and the themes melding into one another as the two come to an understanding, and Chihiro, hardening his resolve, is able to cut down the man who stands before him. Chapter 17 is, in my opinion, a perfect chapter of manga because of how elegantly we transition through each strength of the story and how it culminates in a very striking conclusion. Not every chapter of the manga is structured this way, but the essence of this writing style remains.
Phew, finally caught up again. Thank you, Ronin, for that wonderful breakdown. Have a feeling we're gonna run out of honey for Hokazono by the end of this, but we'll do our best. So, you know what Kagurabachi is, but let's say you're still not convinced. You're asking, what makes it stand out from the crowd? The answer is more nuanced than the internet memes may suggest, but it all starts with its presentation. When we think about how manga relates to other mediums like anime or live action, it's typically a one-sided relationship. Those formats adapt from the manga, either by reinterpreting it in new ways or staying as faithful as possible to the source material. Air is for the manga to emulate the presentation style of anime or film within its own pages and actually pull it off. That's exactly where Kagurabachi shines. Takeru Hokazono frames his story with the stylized grit of a noir action film. The paneling feels so alive, dynamic, pulling you in like you're watching a big IMAX screen rather than just reading in your bedroom. While other mangaka who've attempted this approach end up with layouts that are more reminiscent of storyboards, Hokazono leverages manga's unique strengths while channeling cinematic energy, resulting in something that feels elevated, artistic, and, well, cinematic. Consider pieces like page 45 of chapter 1, or page 15 of chapter 38, or almost anything from chapter 74 to 77. This shit goes hard. Like, come on dude, chapter 76 with Hirohiko using Banquet in the hallway, 100% an Inception reference. It's an experience that feels both refreshingly new and comfortably familiar. It's the reason I view this series along with the likes of Gachikuta and part 1 of Chainsaw Man as the evolution of the battle shonen genre. Which brings me to the art. Admittedly, unlike Gachikuta, Kagurabachi's art isn't my personal favorite in terms of polish, especially when compared to highly detailed artists like Takeru or Yusuke Murata or Kei Urana. But Hokazono makes up for that with sheer creative freedom, spectacle, and visual storytelling. His characters are drawn with a loose, more flexible style that allows for fluid movement and inventive panel layouts. Just when I think I've seen his best work, he hits me in the face with a panel so godlike, all I can do is kneel. Again, chapter 74, with not only the ode to the three-way domain expansion, we get 2 shots of Iori looking to the sky and seeing a black-winged Samura looking like the Angel of Death, or his signature all-black panels. Chihiro pulling up with Cloud Gorger and activating Mai covered in darkness. This is when I knew Hokazono was a legend. His style may not be the cleanest, but it's expressive, evolving, and incredibly effective. He's climbing up my top 10 list of mangaka. But hey, I get it. This is a battle shonen. Forget all the artsy stuff. What about the fights? You want fights? We got them. The action is intense, stylish, and exhilarating, filled with edge-of-your-seat moments that reflect Hokazono's love for properties like The Batman and John Wick. That influence bleeds through in the best ways, adding another layer of flair to a series that's already bursting with energy and is that lightning?
Cloud Gouger, May. Sorry there, Johnny, but you're about to get to the good stuff, and I just think I'm better equipped to handle it.
Could have just asked before almost taking my head off? I think I saw my life flash before my eyes. Where did you get an enchanted sword anyway?
Oh, this? I found it.
Yeah, sure. Found it. Alright, go on while I catch my breath. Gave me a fucking heart attack.
You got it. Compared to many other shonen protagonists, Chihiro kicks off Kagurabachi as a relatively competent and powerful character, both in body and mind. Mentally, he's capable of rolling with many of the punches that come his way in terms of discoveries about his father, and in the physical department, he basically starts the manga off as a top 10 threat in the universe. This is almost exclusively due to the Enchanted Blades and their consistently depicted overwhelming strength. At multiple different points in the story, it is made clear through statements or demonstrations that the Enchanted Blades are nigh unrivaled vessels of power within the world of Kagurabachi, making any somewhat competent wielder of them a force of nature. The Enchanted Blades as a narrative tool are unlike much of what I've seen in battle shonen historically. The closest comparison that immediately comes to mind are the tailed beasts that can be found in Naruto, but the skill with which those can be controlled or collaborated with is only consistent in the middle or later portions of the manga. Early Naruto doesn't place so much emphasis on the Biju being the end-all be-all, at least in comparison to these swords. And as a result of being a very skilled user of Enten, Chihiro is significantly more power than most non-Enchanted Blade wielders in the manga. In stark comparison to a Yuji, Deku, or Naruto, Chihiro's immediate physical conflict comes in the way of him trying to gather intel, keep companions safe, and maintain the positive public perception of his father. Without these added conditions, he'd be capable of solving the problem of defeating opponents much simpler. Despite Enchanted Blades being the main focus of the power system, the broader ability of the verse focuses on sorcery in general, which is fueled by spirit energy and manifested through inherited abilities. A sorcerer's ceiling seems to be mostly predetermined, excluding any significant outliers in skill and talent, and not much yet is known about how one can become a top tier in the verse without Enchanted Blades, but we have seen some interesting sorcery in the way of teleportation, or even something as out there as creating pocket dimensions, so only time will tell how far Hokazono delves into that. Speaking of unfurling mysteries, alongside the unique incorporation of the Enchanted Blades in the story, Kagurabachi's approach to the sides in this world are quite interesting. The Hishaku act as the main antagonistic group in the manga. These are the villains who killed Kunishige and stole his blades, the ones that Chihiro wants to cut down above all else. The Kaminabi is the government. For quite a bit of Kagurabachi, Chihiro doesn't align himself with any faction, preferring to strike out on his own in search for information without being bogged down by yellow tape. However, as of the Rakuzaichi arc, Chihiro and the Kaminabi have been more directly working together. And while there are some very well-intentioned and upstanding characters like Hiyuki who we can use as a reference point, this isn't exactly a group without its own history and baggage. And watching that all play out in real time has been fascinating. Is that a goldfish?
Enten Kuro. Wow, that was cool.
What the hell? Careful with that thing. You almost killed me.
Relax. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already. Besides, you're getting into my part, so I thought I'd butt in like you did earlier. With more style, of course.
More style, he says. Where did you get that anyway?
Oh, this? I found it.
Yeah, whatever. Well, get on with it then.
You got it. Chihiro Rokuhira is an incredibly compelling protagonist, and what makes him so interesting to me is that he could have easily been generic, a typical revenge-driven lead we've seen a billion times before. Given Hokazono's openly stated influences like John Wick, it wouldn't be a stretch to expect Chihiro to follow the same one-note structure. A stoic killer on a straightforward vendetta. And while he is driven by the trauma of his father's murder and a burning desire for vengeance, that's where the simplicities end. If characters like Midoriya represent manga's answer to Superman or Spider-Man, then Chihiro is the genre's equivalent of Batman or the Punisher. He walks a fine line between the stoic protector and a rage-fueled avenger. Cold, calculating, and fiercely intelligent, he finds ways through impossible odds with sharp instincts and relentless drive. Yet beneath that exterior is a well of empathy. Despite his obsession with tearing down those who wronged him, Chihiro is guided by a deeper sense of duty, to protect the innocent and prevent others from suffering the same way he has. Some of the series' best moments come from when that bottled up fury surfaces, revealing the wounded boy frozen in time by grief, causing Chihiro to behave recklessly and on the verge of losing his cool. I can't lie, this is the kind of stuff I live for. But just as powerful are the scenes where he chooses compassion over violence, even when it's the harder path. I'm a sucker for characters who embody human values, who fight not just for vengeance, but for something bigger than themselves. Time after time, even while chasing his bloody crusade, Chihiro puts his life on the line for others. That tension between avenger and protector is what makes him so unpredictable, and overwhelmingly fascinating. He honestly deserves a solo video breaking him down in full, which I'm open to doing in the future. Chihiro is the textbook definition of a dynamic, active character, and that complexity has massive effects on the world and characters around him. His actions force events in the story in motion and characters into different positions, allies and enemies alike. This kind of influence has had varying degrees of results, from inspiring characters to stand up for themselves for the sake of the greater good, or even empowering villains to gain a deeper understanding of the powers they wield. I specifically love the latter approach. It's rare to see a hero whose actions genuinely strengthen their enemies, like when Shoujo figures out how to cloak Mai and ride the lightning against Chihiro using Nishiki, or Hiruhiko deciding to improve his swordsmanship to face Chihiro properly. These developments raise the stakes and deepen the narrative. Every choice Chihiro makes comes with a price, and that weight is something that he has to deal with. Is he causing more harm than good, or does the good outweigh the bad?
Jesus, are you done yapping? They get it. Series is cool and has character depth and whatever. I could read that off any random Kagurabachi Twitter thread. Let's get into the real stuff, which I will obviously handle since I'm a bigger fan than you with more motion.
Hey, wait a second, jackass. It's my video, and I always get to do the deep dives. Since when did you become a themes merchant anyway? Don't you have like a fight to make up or something?
Don't you have a Mr. Robot episode to plagiarize?
Alright, that's it.
Hey, whoa, fellas, please, calm down. We're all friends here.
Mikey?
What are you doing here?
Oh, I saw the lightning and thought I'd come check to see if there was an enchanted sword fight I could join. Rather not fight you guys, though.
Is that Toby Mune? Where did you get that from?
Oh, this? I found it.
I'm starting to notice a pattern.
Yeah, same here.
Never mind that. I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, you two can work it out. No reason to kill each other.
I guess he's right. No reason we both can't share the spotlight.
Agreed. Ready?
Hell yeah. Enten.
Cloud Gouger.
Toby Mune.
Mikey.
My bad.
By now, you're probably asking, what's the point? What is Kagurabachi really trying to say? Is there something deeper beneath all the sword fights and stylistic flair? Well, yeah, there is. Duh. But to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it is just yet. And oddly enough, that uncertainty is part of the answer. With other series we've covered on this channel, like Gacha Kuta, My Hero Academia, or Jujutsu Kaisen, their core themes are usually pretty clear from the jump. The question isn't what they're trying to say, but how the story and its characters will challenge or evolve that message over time, which isn't a bad thing at all. That's how most great storytelling works. But Kagurabachi is different. It hasn't fully shown its hand yet. There's mystery around every corner, and because the story moves at such a fast speed, we're only given bits and pieces of information. Each new reveal answers one question, then raises two more. It's like a puzzle that becomes more complex the closer you get to solving it. The bigger picture remains elusive, and I believe that's intentional. Take, for example, Chihiro's father's final words about the Enchanted Blades. He questioned whether the swords he forged were truly what the world needed, urging Chihiro to find his own answer, to create a different kind of katana. That framing feels like the heart of the series. It's not just about revenge or cool fight scenes, it's about discovery, figuring out what kind of person Chihiro will become and what kind of path he should walk. Along that journey, Kagurabachi weaves in themes with surprising depth. The manipulation of history, the whitewashing of war crimes, the way propaganda reshapes the truth. It's setting the stage for a conversation about how the past shapes the present, who gets to decide what truth means, whether heroes can also be villains, and what it truly means to forge your own path.
The first major antagonist of the series is probably the most explicit example of forging one's path in relation to Chihiro, Kunishige, and the Enchanted Blades at large. In his debut fight, Genichi Sojo puts his understanding of Kunishige's work into perspective, and it is in explaining it to his son that we find the core of their thematic conflict. A consistent theme presented within the manga is one of interpretation of actions. What does it mean to wield a katana, a weapon that can be used equally for bloodshed and protection? What what does it mean to be the creator of weapons that surpass anything the world has ever seen? As is explained to Chihiro, Kunishige's intention was to create a tool that could be used in service of vanquishing evil and protecting the weak. Chihiro internalizes this framework and approaches his quest for vengeance and preservation of his dad's creation through this lens. But even in the first chapter of the story, the fallibility of this perspective is established. A complicity in the violence and harm that these weapons cause is something that he willingly shoulders, for as easily as they can be used to protect, they are able to be wielded wickedly. And as the story progresses, we uncover more and more about the nuance of these weapons' creation. A sort of gap in intent and result is created, and it is in that gap that someone like Sojo resides. Sojo is someone who resonated with the blade's ability to cause indiscriminate destruction, and despite contradicting the intention stated by the creator of these weapons, it is undeniable that his stance too is valid. Not only does Cloud Gouger embrace his awakening, allowing for a deeper connection and resonance, but even Chihiro cannot deny Sojo's worldview entirely when they meet for their final bout. In his first major arc, Hokazono seems to address and give his own perspective on death of the author as a concept for critique and analysis of any art piece. Death of the author essentially argues that a piece of art's meaning is not determined even by the author's intent itself, and one must engage with the art as it exists in order to fully understand and properly interpret it. Chihiro, putting aside his unique knowledge and relationship with the creator or the author of these weapons, accepting Sojo's validity, yet not conceding ground in his quest to kill him, is an explicit acknowledgement of this concept, an exploration of what the true meaning of these enchanted blades will mean in a grander sense. And this interpretive nature of the past generation continues even beyond this arc.
Kagurabachi is steeped in the themes of guilt and responsibility. From Chihiro, whose every step in his revenge-fueled journey has weighty consequences, to Kiora Suzunami, who clings to his family's legacy at the cost of those closest to him. This is a world where bloodshed, sorcery, and war demand a reckoning. Those who choose the path of violence must eventually face the impact of their actions and the futures they shape. One character who embodies this burden especially well is Seiichi Samura. In the most recent arc, Kagurabachi peeled back the curtain of the Seitei War, revealing not just superhuman invaders and a nation's destruction, but also the disturbing truth behind Japan's cover-up of war crimes. Sounds familiar? Samura's past, filled with trauma and regret, comes into sharp focus. And while not all the puzzle pieces are clear or even reliable, what we do know adds a powerful layer of context to the story's emotional core. What I especially admire is how naturally the exposition unfolds. Like One Piece, Kagurabachi doesn't just dump information, it reveals it as the characters uncover it, preserving the mystery and deepening the world building. At the beginning, we only hear tales of the Seitei War as sanitized legends, bedtime stories meant to inspire. But as the story progresses and the terrifying power of the Enchanted Blades is revealed, we see a darker truth emerge. It sheds light on why so many characters are haunted by their past. Those who survived the war try to impose their will on the next generation, whether to rewrite history, protect them from repeating it, or mold the future into their own vision. Yura and the Hisaku are particularly fascinating. They're just terrorists who always seem 10 steps ahead. They claim to want to expose the lies behind malediction, and maybe there's some truth in that, but their methods are violent, self-serving, and leave nothing but death in their wake. Whatever their endgame is with Shinichi, it's hard to imagine that it ends well. Going back to Samura, he's also a prime example of this struggle. His crushing guilt makes him vulnerable to manipulation against the Hisaku, driving him to hunt down fellow swordbearers and alienating his own daughter. He believes he's doing the right thing, but his actions are rooted in shame and self-interest. Instead of facing his past and trusting those who care for him, he retreats into isolation and destruction. Look at him killing Chihiro to revive him so that he could break his bond with Enten. This is a kid he hasn't seen in years. Without even trying to understand why Chihiro would fight or to see what he has to offer, Samura tries to strip him of his path. Like Yura or the Kamunabi, Samura's desire for control over the future causes more harm on those who will inherit it later. It echoes Kunishige's challenge to Chihiro. What kind of katana will you make? Maybe the real answer is letting go, giving the next generation space to forge their own path. Honestly, there's so much I can say about the old guard versus the new in this series, especially when looking at characters like Iori or Hakuri or Char. But that may be a whole other video in itself. But for now, the table is set with so much action and themes, it is a feast for anyone who reads. We are double-edged blades. Every time we whet our virtue, the return stroke straps our vices. Where is the skilled swordsman who can give clean wounds and not rip up his work with the other edge? Let's just be honest, gang. You're convinced by now. Dread it, run from it. All roads lead back to the greatness that is Kagurabachi. This is a next level battle shonen that kills it in almost every department. The art, the direction, the themes, the fights, the characters, you name it. Gone are the days of fearing what the future holds for Shonen Jump. The new kids are here to stay and stay with style. I'm just excited for what's in store. One of the main things that gets my brain going is Yura spreading the information about malediction. Samura never actually confirmed or denied anything he said to his face, but confirmed it to others. Yura also seemed to be speaking with a base understanding, so there's more to what actually went down, right? Obviously there is, but it's that what that gets me. Plus, a random island appearing out of nowhere. Like, I know this is a world of sorcery, but a whole island? And I'm supposed to believe the only people who ever experimented with the special metal that makes the Enchanted Blades was Shoujo and Kunishige. Likely story. Well, what about you guys? What are you curious about?
A greater explanation of the relationship between the Swordmaster and Kunishige is the thing I'm most curious about.
Just in general, I'm really interested to see how Hokazono's art develops over the coming years. His venture into the life of a manga artist started fairly recently, and with him being so young, I'm sure there's so much more potential he has yet to show us. I'm looking forward to it, and you should too. Thank you for having me, Johnny.
Huh, cool. Well, anyway, thanks for watching.